although we're some 10 years past the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper being published, I do feel like there's still a considerable opportunity to be found in the crypto space, specifically within a field that I've been finding very compelling recently, that being the decentralized finance or DeFi space. As it currently is, about 2% of all Ethereum is being held by MakerDAO, and with it, their DAI token is being issued. So what makes MakerDAI so compelling is that, the actual Ethereum is locked into the blockchain in a smart contract, and use their CDP program in order to get DAI minted. And it's not like Tether, it's not like the Coinbase stablecoin or really any of the other stablecoins per se. And besides that, it's huge. There is many millions of dollars worth of Ethereum out there. So, except for the case where the Ethereum blockchain just has a nuclear explosion and halves in one day or something, it's going to be fairly stable and tied to the dollar. You can see that if you look at all the volume across all the exchanges, it does a really good job of keeping a dollar peg. And there's a lot of really smart people and competent people from the world of finance too that are jumping on board onto MakerDAI's platform. And if you've tried it, it's very easy to use. You just link up your MetaMask or whatever Ethereum wallet that you most commonly use. And you can put on there what you want. So there also are some really interesting smaller platforms that are being heavily used in the DeFi space. One of them yesterday that I did a deep dive on and listened to a really interesting Wire podcast on is Uniswap. So they have like little pools where you put in half Ethereum and half whatever the other ERC20 token is, and with those you're able to get like a portion of the pool. So the exchange rate will change on that, but as it goes up, you do have some scalability. Let's say, for example, you have Ethereum matching with 100 BAT or whatever the current exchange rate is. If Ethereum drops, you'll have BAT that'll be worth 200 BAT, say. So when you trade that back in, you'll have your original Ethereum that did drop, but you'll have many more BAT to compensate you for the inconvenience of the drop in Ethereum. So what a lot of people are doing is using that exchange rate, and they're just hedging on the other side too. So there's a lot of really interesting use cases when it comes to these types of market pair arbitrage. You'll see that people will get links on both sides. So there's all sorts of mathematical ways in which one of the coins can either shoot lower or skyrocket, and it would represent very low risk and a very high reward. Not only that, but while you have a portion of the pool in the Uniswap system, which is huge, by the way, many, many millions of dollars, and it's being backed by, I believe, Sequoia and all these very prominent people that are already in traditional finance as well. But you actually get transmission fees or transaction fees that are charged when people use the platform to go from one ERC20 token to the other. You can see that even when the volume is big, like between Ethereum and DAI, that as extension too, the transaction costs are also abundant. So you don't necessarily have to look to the smallest pools in order to be like the most profitable. There are many thousands of Ethereum that are being held in the Ethereum DAI peg that are matched to one another, just because it's an easy way to kind of get a hedge to the dollar. And if you hold Ethereum DAI pegs, and you expect that the DAI is going to be relatively stable, then you can get a relatively stable handle on the Ethereum price as well, and protect yourself if it goes down and benefit if it goes up. So there's all sorts of interesting use cases with all areas of DeFi, and what you traditionally know as far as the futures market, where if it hits a certain threshold, it's gone. There are other platforms that will continually change the margin from 15% to 25%, and things that are popping up like all the time. One of them that was popping up yesterday was really compelling, and they're still working through their beta, but there's also compound.finance, and they have a similar model where, you connect up with your Ethereum MetaMask wallet, and they have some new features, actually more innovative features I find. And then there's Nuo, which is another app that uses the Ethereum, and this one you can actually exchange coin for coin. It's higher denomination. It's going to have to be over $45 a transaction to get things going, and then to actually make the contract, you're going to have to cost a few dollars to interact with a smart contract and get that rolling. But once you do, you can really get some good pairs going, where if you're super bearish on, let's say, Augur, their rep coin, then you can short that with Ethereum. Or if you're super into BAT and what they're doing with the browser market and their ad blockers and the people that are behind that, and you're super bullish, about another coin or whatever combination that you can think of, you can benefit really on both sides. If they both stay relatively flat, then you should be fine. And if even one of them goes in the direction that you think they're going to go in a big way, and the other one doesn't work against it too much, then you're going to see some handsome rewards. So Nuo, in that way, is bringing some interesting financial innovation. But there's so much interesting things going on with FinTech right now that it behooves you, if you want to take advantage of the crypto you do have and make it work for you and benefit from all the froth and volatility that is part and parcel to crypto, to take a look at some of these projects. A lot of people are posting really interesting things on Twitter, so I would encourage you to follow me on Crypto SaySo, where I post a bunch of DeFi stuff, and then by extension, the people that I follow will offer a lot of interesting content in that area too. So check out of course, my podcast, but I'll link to Waze, which has some interesting podcasts on the DeFi space. And it's an exciting time to be in DeFi, so stay alert, because things change on a daily basis.